First of all, I want to say that Dr. Nduom is a household name in Ghana. We've known Dr. Nduom as a top-notch entrepreneur. We've also known Dr. Nduom as a top-notch politician. What sort of legacy do you think you are leaving behind?
Well, when you talk about that, as soon as you say you've known me as a politician, I start to protest. Because, and perhaps I'll explain it as we go along, I don't want to be known as a Ghanaian politician. I always want people to know me first and foremost as a man who believes and practices his faith as a Christian, because that does a whole lot of things for me. And it is also what makes me want to do the right things at all times, even with some difficulties sometimes. I want people to understand that family values are important to me and have done a lot for me as an individual. And then public service is something that in my family has been cherished as the right thing to do. That you do public service to benefit your people, your nation, and it's a voluntary thing. You don't do it for profit. So today, when politicians have become professional politicians, I don't want to be known as one of them. So in business, I want people to also understand that I am a professional person, a certified management consultant, and that is where I made my career. That is how come I've been able to earn a living. So let me just deal with that as that is really what I hope characterizes me. And when people see and experience the kinds of things that I do, that they would understand who is it that I am. And in all of the things, I have come to be thankful for a quotation that my wife found for me, which I now say to people quite often, and I have found it to be quite proper and appropriate. It's from Proverbs chapter 24, verses 33 and 34. Okay, 33 and 34. The one that says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the arms, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty shall come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. It says you must be up and doing. You must be awake. You must be on top of your game. You must do your best at all times. And you mustn't let up. And you can't take anything for granted. That, oh, this one, I've done enough and it's okay, let me move on. At the same time, it also says that, look, if you are going to walk around this earth, not expecting to work hard, and that you will gain some benefits and so on and so forth, well, you'll be poor. Other people will tell you what to do. The same for individuals, the same for nations. So that for me, it characterizes a lot of things, and it's come to make me also understand what is it that I must do.
In a nutshell, Doc, what do you say is the sort of politics that you practice?
Okay, well, politics, for me, politics is something that I do because I have been able to do other things to make a living and to take care of myself and my family. And so I do it as something voluntary, as a service to the nation, and something I can afford to do selflessly. I can't see myself doing politics and relying on it for my meals, for my clothes, and so on and so forth. I can't see it. I can't see it. But politics also for me, because it is a national service designed to help uplift the nation, make the country strong, make its people prosperous, then it must come as something that it is an advocacy. It is not just for winning elections. It is for helping shape policy, helping develop the nation. So I'm interested in the kinds of things that will, change our fortunes as a nation. Earlier on, you had sent me some questions, and I looked at one of them that you were asking what should be done to enhance good governance in this country. And then, and I look at it, I've looked at it in three different areas. One are the things that I call defects in our 1992 Constitution. Because study after study has shown, including some of the studies done by international organizations, have shown that our politics has been colored, unfortunately, in the wrong way by the 1992 Constitution, which has imposed on us a dictatorship. A dictatorship, you might call it a democratic elected dictatorship. So there are defects in the 1992 Constitution. It does not enable separation of powers. We don't have the sort of checks and balances that we need in a democracy where you have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary serving to check each other, okay, and where there are limits to authority. Okay, here we have combined in a bad way the legislature and the executive. And so, if you will, they are in cahoots. And one, washes this one, the other washes the other one. They cover up for each other, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And in all of it, you have a legislature that is weakened, okay, and legislators, who are waiting for the executive. And if the executive doesn't move, the executive doesn't do anything, the executive doesn't give them funding, they can't work. It doesn't work like that in any democracy and get any good. So that's one thing. Separation of powers must happen. And then we have the unfortunate circumstance in the Constitution also where people are going to Parliament wanting to become ministers of state, wanting to become part of the executive. Okay. And all of that we the legislature. But we also have this matter of years we had some centralized form of government. But everywhere in the world, if you don't have effective decentralization, it doesn't work. You can't have 1/3 of all assembly members appointed by the president at the center. You can't have all municipal, metropolitan, district chief executives appointed by the president. The people must elect their own local legislators and their executives at the local level. You don't do that, you don't also decentralize funding of governance at the local level, to the local level, it also doesn't work. So so that's a defect in terms of governance. If we don't fix it, no matter who is in government, that problem, it will be a barrier to rapid development in this country. So it's a huge issue, and I have dedicated my politics to helping solve this problem. So whether I am in government or not, if we're able to do advocacy, to amend the Constitution, to change this matter so we have effective separation of powers, So we have effective decentralization, send power back to the people at the local level. I'll be very happy. Then the other part of governance that is wrong today, that needs to be changed, is we have weak institutions, weakened state institutions. And one thing that has brought about this weakening is you've had too much partisanship in recruiting people to state institutions and inside their operation. It has happened with the police. An administration comes, they recruit their people into the police, into the army, into the public service. They put people in leadership positions who are associated with them, and they weaken these institutions. So too much partisanship at that level, and then there's a very low expectation for productivity. Very low. Now, if you've put people there who are there to watch out for politicians, who is going to go and make sure that they work? And who is going to make them account for their tenure? Then you go across, nobody's interested in the application of technology. You take a look at the banks. The banks are interested in high technology. In industry out there, the machines all have high technology. If you go to the building industry, they are putting up the Ridge Hospital there. You should go and take a look at what the people are doing. The building is coming up rapidly. They're using better building techniques. Okay, look at the high rises going up. Look at the cranes all up, and many of them they're using technology. It's not the old manual things. And then you go to government, and you still have to wait for pieces of paper to go from office to office to office, and important documents hiding in files. And how can you have effective governance when there's low technology? It doesn't work. It does not work. So we have that. And then you have institutions like the Electoral Commission who don't use their own mandate. An EC is supposed to put political parties on their toes. So EC is also come and is also there just for elections. The EC is not there just for elections. They are supposed to help in governance by monitoring, by guiding the actions and activities of political parties. And if a political party doesn't qualify because it has become parochial, ethnic-based, or religious-based, they are supposed to stop them. Stop them. If a political party is getting its funds from people from outside the country, which happens, and it is happening, the EC must be there to stop them. But the EC is not there. It's when we're getting to election time, then they wake up. Okay, and then all of a sudden, 20 political parties show up at election time. Okay, when in effect, in Ghana today, you really only have 3, maybe 4 political parties that meet the political parties law and the articles there for qualification. Okay, so if our institutions don't do what they're supposed to do, well, governance, it doesn't work. And then our state institutions, rather than doing things to help the citizens, help companies to be strengthened, they rather take a punishment mentality. Okay, so let's say environmental protection. It says environmental protection, but instead of going to train people, going to keep them on their toes to do the right things and showing them the right things to do, they rather wait and look at somebody goes to do something wrong, then they come and clamp down on them heavily. Or Ghana Revenue Authority, okay, they wait. When there's a company they don't like, or government says, I don't like this, then they go and look around to see whether they have paid tax or not. If they haven't paid the tax, the same thing that happened to Siao and B.A. Mensah and some of these other people, then they go and use the heavy hand of the law to destroy them. Okay, you can't have state institutions that do that. They are supposed to help. or if you have any of them, the ones that are regulatory in nature, okay, their job is to monitor, watch out for the citizens, help people improve, and in an economy like this, in a developing country, make sure that they strengthen people, tell them what to do, make them work and work hard, and not go and punish them. So you really have that. And then finally, in terms of governance to work, you need serious, sustained reform. And I do that because I was a public sector reform minister. And I can tell you, many people, I don't care which political party, they don't want serious reform. Because as soon as the reform starts to touch them, then they recoil. They want the status quo. The status quo that allows people to steal, allows people to do the wrong things, to benefit, and so on and so forth. People like that. They like that. But reform, you must do reform. You must streamline government. If you don't streamline government, nothing works. Nothing works. And that's how come the pay reform program is not working. Pay reform, it was not just about single spine. It wasn't just about, we just got to the first stage of the pay reform program, which was to remove distortions, inequities from the pay system in the public sector. But we were supposed to do other more difficult things that will help improve productivity, bring technology, that will help remove the subsidies we're giving to public officials for water, for electricity, for telephone, for transportation, for housing, and so on and so forth, so that you have real consolidated pay. So where you can now say, if someone is at this level in a notch on a single spine, it is true. Not that they are here, then they go and get some other benefits here and there. Okay, it doesn't work. So a lot of things need to be done that they haven't done because people were in a hurry. Both NDC and MPP were in a hurry to go and claim credit that we have given people a pay increase. Okay, and only to find that if you don't do the other things, the pay burden will be so huge if you don't do the other things. Because if you do the other things, you contain costs and then you also increase revenue. Okay, so if you don't understand it and all you're interested in is politics and how you look good, well, the thing doesn't work. So serious reform, it is really, really important. So you asked about the governance. Those are things for me that really need to be done to have better governance in this country.
Let me pin it a bit too specific now. You spoke about the Electoral Commission and being there just to conduct elections. We barely have 18 months into the next 2016 elections.
Right.
What are your expectations? By now, what are you expecting the Electoral Commission to be doing?
Well, by now, you see, first of all, the Electoral Commission should have a timetable of what it routinely does, not just for elections, what it routinely does. You political parties, I meet with you every now and then, or I even invite some of your people to the office. Okay, this is a survey we have done. You don't have an office here. You don't have an office here. I give you this time period. You fix it or you are out. Okay, maybe you provide some training for political parties. Come and explain. Where's your audited accounts for 2014? Let's review it. If you go to the banks, Bank of Ghana, it has a rep at the Bank of Ghana for every bank. And when they do, the banks, the auditors finish their audits, they give them a deadline. End of March, you must be done. And you submit it to Bank of Ghana. They have somebody comb through it, and then they call you for a meeting with the auditor and review it. If there are some things that are not correct, they will say, explain. Okay? Electoral Commission should do the same thing with political parties. Okay? And it will say, show me where your executives are. Show me how you conduct the elections. Show me where your offices are. Show me all these things. Show me how you make money to run your affairs so that we can say that we have a proper party. So that's one thing. On the political parties, they should be making sure that the political parties law is being followed. And then, we have a voters register, which is what we use to do elections. And for now, we should have a timetable on how we are working every day to clean it up, to fix whatever problems there are, and not wait till next year, or not wait till we are getting to the last minute. Then there's voter education. Okay, that also needs to be embarked upon by the Electoral Commission. It shouldn't wait till 2016 on what you should do and what you should not do. Then finally, you also have the actual process of conducting, if you will, elections, which involves, well, who is going to be part of this? What sort of people are we going to be using? And they should begin training, should begin working with them. So off election year, there are all sorts of things that needs to be done to strengthen the administration, to strengthen operations, to strengthen their finances, to inform the public, and so on and so forth, on not just presidential, parliamentary election, but the assembly elections and why we do it, and all of that. So there's a whole lot that they must be engaged in, but we don't wait till election year, then all of a sudden everything is about the election. Okay, but a lot should be about preparation, about governance, about who qualifies, who doesn't qualify, and so on and so forth.
Maybe just a bit on this electoral commission thing. The current chairman will be going on retirement in June, thereabout. And there is an ongoing debate in the public sphere as to who replaces the Electoral Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Article 70 tells us how, the Electoral Commission, the chairman of the Electoral Commission must be elected.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't heard from you. What is your view on
Well, I've said some things about it, but look, the essential point really is, why are we so all focusing on the person who becomes the chairman? Because it's the chairman, which means that there are other commissioners. Okay, if the other commissioners are weak, if the other commissioners are partisan focused, well, the place doesn't work. So we should be looking at the institution in total and making sure that we have the right people, the right systems, the right supports, procedures and everything, and technology there. Okay, that institution, because it's been seen as, I don't know, sometimes being compromised, sometimes weakened, and so on and so forth. That's why everybody is up in arms about the appointment of its chairman. And of course, because of the controversies that have come in the past about the conduct of elections, that is also why people are interested to make sure that the partisanship is removed from the selection. But when it is the president, who is a politician, who works with a council of state, many of whom are sitting there have also come through a political process. So there will be some element of partisanship there. Okay, but if the institution itself is strong enough and it performs as independently as the eyes can see, then we wouldn't be so worried. But it's part of the track record. So if you ask me, that I went through the last election knowing what I had gone through in previous elections, including election to become an assembly member. And there are problems. Okay, I went through a 2000 parliamentary election that I took to court. Okay, and I saw what happened during the so-called collation period, somewhere around midnight, election day. Turning what I thought was a win into a loss. Took the matter to court. It stayed in court to the next election. I went through it. Okay, what it did to me was to make me a lot more aggressive for the 2004 election. To want to do so many things to including going into opposition camps to get people from there. Okay, so that I can have a bigger margin. Okay, a bigger margin. But I was prepared to do all manner of things to make sure that they wouldn't cheat me. Now, if that attitude becomes worse, and I take it to a national election, and let's say 2012, PPP, we were new. So we were cheated, but we knew that we were new, and our votes, even if we went and demanded whatever that had been taken away from us, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. So we relaxed. But let's suppose that, you know, our votes could make a big difference. We could have made a whole lot of trouble for Ghana because we were cheated and they took our votes in many places. So thinking that, and I'm watching to see what they do there. And so if they go and put some person there that we think is partisan focused, well, of course, if we were going towards 2016, we wouldn't have a relaxed attitude at all. As a matter of fact, we would have a very, very aggressive attitude towards the election. Okay? Now, when you take an aggressive attitude towards an election and you don't take care, then you know, the results can become something very negative for the nation. So we need to take care and make sure that whatever we do with appointing people, not just a chairman, to electoral commission for any job, including clerical ones, that we put the right people there, we train them well, we equip them well, they are well monitored, they do the right things, so we can all have peace. Otherwise, 2016 election is not going to be an easy one for anybody, because we know people steal, people cheat, people bribe their way, people do strange things, and you know, nobody has to come and tell me. I know, we have evidence, and so this stuff, you know, you can't relax about it at all. So the appointment of an executive, the chairman of the commission should be done very carefully, but we should be more concerned about the integrity and the strength of the entire commission, because what they do matters. I know you had asked a question too about this, my perception or perspective on political developments in Ghana. And really, what is so disheartening and what is bothersome is this concentration on winning elections, so that from the time someone is declared a winner as an MP, someone is declared a winner as a president, the ones declared winners, instead of carrying out a mandate to govern, to administer the affairs of the nation, they have started from the very beginning looking at to the next election. And what is it that if I do will bring me back? Then you also have people in opposition who also then begin from day one, also looking at what is it that I should do so that I can become you know, a winner the next time. Well, if we do that, then who is going to worry about the millions of Ghanaians who vote? You know, who is going to make sure that, you know, prosperity comes, that poverty goes away, that the problems we have, they are handled? And so all of this has seeped into other problems that we have. That if we're going to put a road there somewhere, where can we put a road that would enhance our chances of winning an election? And so whether it's well done or not, if they see something there, then it will bring votes. And if we have opposition leaders whom you can't see, let's say over a 4-year period, that they've done anything, no real work, okay, no productive work, and all they're doing is criticizing, all they're doing is going around talking, all they're doing is quote unquote communicating, and they're not doing any serious learning, technical, whatever, then for 4 years, how can they then come and say, I've learned something, I've I'm bringing something into government. You can't just be a full-time politician, okay, and say I'm bringing something new or different. In the same way, you can't be a full-time politician in government and just sit there and just tell us whatever you think we'll be happy with. And instead of solving problems, then it's what is it that I should go and say here? What is it that I should go and say there? What is it that I should communicate with people so that they will see that, oh, this man, he's good, or that woman is all right, or whatever. That politics of convenience, okay, it's a particularist politics. And politics based on winning election, for me, I see that as bad. So you have people who can't make it in society. They can't be a good journalist. They can't be a good banker. They can't be a good teacher. They can't be a good businessman. They can't be a good anything. And so they go to politics. They go to politics. So if they can help do propaganda, insult other people, do whatsoever, so that the party wins. So now I can become a deputy minister. I can become a minister. I can become a communicator. I can become this. So I can make some money. Then all of a sudden I can build a house. I can buy a car. And so on and so forth. Those are the people we see out there. They are there in the political parties. Not just one. They are there. And we are seeing examples of them in government. And so if somebody is there, they have nothing to their name. They haven't done anything in their lives except do propaganda, do some tricks, go and scheme so that their party can win votes. And then they are rewarded with positions. They are on boards. They are here, they are there. How can a nation thrive? That is what is bad and wrong about our politics. That's why in the PPP I'm helping to bring some young people up. You help them get jobs. And when you hear them speak and they say the wrong things, you call them and say, hey, you don't do this here. You try to get them to understand that you must bring something to the politics. You must bring something that hopefully if you're in government one day, you can say, well, I'm bringing it from, I was in, I don't know, in the media. I was in banking. I was in, in education or something. And so I'm bringing something from experience that I can use to help my country. And that's what we're trying to do, is to grow people properly that way. If you do that, well, if the politics is correct, the nation will also end up doing well. But if we're doing these things that people are doing, well, you get...
So based on these observations, what are your word of admonishment or advice for the Ghanaian? Oh,
well, that's what we tell Ghanaians, you get what you vote for. If Ghanaians tell the politicians, they give the right signal to the politicians will know that, hey, we can't take them for granted any longer. So we must, whether somebody thinks we're insulting anybody or not, we must look at the Ghanaian's face and tell them you get what you vote for. You reap what you sow. So if some politician comes and lies to you, insults other people, and does all sorts of things, throws mud on others, so that they can get your vote, and you also buy in, and so you go and give them your vote. Well, what else do they know other than throw mud at people, insult people, and do all sorts of other things? That's all you are going to get. Okay, but you should look at people who are trying to do something for their country, trying to advocate something. Tomorrow we're going to the Supreme Court, the PPP. We took this case to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to rule on the implementation of the free, compulsory, universal basic education that governments were given 10 years by our Constitution to implement this thing, and none of them has done it. We're asking the Supreme Court to rule on this, force government, whoever is there, implement this thing that is in our Constitution. Now, whether they agree with us or not, we have made our case. That you can't treat the Supreme Court as if you're going to Makola. And then today you decide, I want snails. So I'll buy snails, I leave the fish. Tomorrow you go and say, I want yam. I leave the cassava. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land that you swear to defend, uphold, whatever it is that's in the Constitution. So you come to government, what the Constitution says, all of them is what you must implement. So you can't say, this one I don't like it, or when I have money, or when is this, you must come and work. Being in government, you're not there for good times. You're not there for somebody to bring sacks of money. You must put the money there. You must work, solve problems. That's what it is there for. So we want people to understand. So we are practicing what we preach. So our party, we're not sitting there till election time. We've said to Ghanaians, corruption. So we've gone on corruption demonstrations. We've done all sorts of things. We say decentralize. Give the people to vote. Let's elect our DCEs and so on and so forth. We've gone around the country. Our party leaders have actually gone to meet the president. They've met the Council of State, and they've gone around to advocate for the things that we want to happen. That's what we're doing. I've made job creation an issue. And in my own private life, that's what I'm doing. It's tough, it's challenging, and it has nothing to do with politics, but I am doing and practicing what I preach, is finding opportunities to go to all the 10 regions and helping so we can create some jobs for people, real jobs, not make work, real jobs that people can benefit from, that can help development. So if we do those kinds of things, Ghana, it will improve. Things will change.
Based on the track record of the NDC and MPP, they have been in power since 1992 to date. Mm-hmm. What are your expectations coming 2016?
Well, you see,
as far as the Ghanaian voter is concerned?
Quite frankly, quite honestly, I will tell the Ghanaian voter, send a message. I know MPP people. I've been in an MPP administration before, so I know many of them. There are plenty of new ones, so I don't know everybody. I know a number of them. I also know a lot of NDC people. Okay, I went to school with a number of them. Many of them are my friends. Okay, but the politics has become something different, and so the way the politics has become, you cannot hand this government again to any one of them. And I want to explain it. It would be preferable for Ghanaians to for once look at both NDC and MPP and say, it doesn't matter how many parliamentarians you have. It doesn't matter whatever money is that you throw at us. This time, we are going to consciously decide that we are going to vote for an alternative. Of course, we in the PPP, we would wish that that alternative is as us. And so we are preparing. But, and one of the things is when I meet some of my friends, business people, professionals, many of them say, if NDC asks me to go and do something with them publicly, I won't do it. Some of the same people say, if MPP asks me, I won't do it. And they say, I don't want to be tainted. That is bad. Okay, that is bad. So when any one of them gets into office, who are they going to get to bring in to come and help develop this nation? Who will want to go? If PPP is in power, plenty of them will come. Okay, many of them will come, and you will get the combination of ideas, expertise, and so on and so forth that you need as a united administration to run this country. You need that. You need that to run a country. The British elections, there was a conscious attempt. If you say the people in Scotland, they knew what they were doing. They deliberately said, we don't care whoever has been here, whatever, we are voting for the Scottish National Party. And many people too said that they were afraid of a combination between the Scottish National Party and Labour. So people who had never voted for Conservatives before deliberately swung one way, and they swerved everybody. swerved everybody. Well, Ghanaians need to swerve NDC and MPP in 2016 and vote for PPP, vote for an alternative to bring unity into this country. And just in case, let me also, because it's a delicate point, just in case that misses, Ghanaians must force NDC or MPP into a coalition with somebody else, whichever party, with somebody else, so that it dilutes, and I'm using the word deliberately, dilutes the unnecessary professional politics that is there. And it dilutes the negativism that has cropped up in both of those camps. And it dilutes some of the unwillingness of people to want to be a part of any administration that is formed by any one of these. It's something different must happen in 2016. And here, let me say to you that Kufuor, the first 3 years of the Kufuor administration, to me, were wonderful years for Ghana, because it was truly, there was a true attempt made by him as a president to have a united administration that was doing things for Ghana, not for any partisan purpose. The first 3 years. And if people check, they will see that a lot were done. A lot of things were done in those first 3 years. There was the Economic Forum, many people came, they contributed ideas. It's the Economic Forum that led to new pension law, led to so many different things, okay? Many people, including myself, were part of the administration, qualifying for HIPIC and all sorts of other things. Many things were done that helped the country in an all-inclusive atmosphere. But then, as soon as election year 2004 showed up, a lot of the things went away. Partisanship came back. And then the second term, partisanship. And you saw what happened, everybody wanting to become president. And the magic went away. So I'm saying that Ghanaians have seen that. And if those 3 years were good, it's something even better than that is what we need. So that even the bigger resources that we now have in Ghana, it goes for good advantage. For good advantage for the country. That's a sort of thing that we need. Whether Ghanaians want to do it or not, whether they will be prepared to do it or not, it's still in their hands. It's still in their hands. If they do it, Ghana will be something different.
Doc, I think we have spoken quite a lot, but let us try and see the energy crisis that is confronting this nation.
You're talking about Doomsor.
Doomsor, that's right. In your honest view of how this government is going about resolving, the energy crisis, would you say they are on track? Particularly, the president assuring us that I will fix Doomsor.
Well, it's unfortunate we are where we are with this energy crisis, not just a power crisis, energy crisis. It's really, really very unfortunate. And part of it is also because of the attempt at politicization that is not good. Because it is important that all of us understand that this problem is going to be with us for a long time. We're not going to be able to solve the energy crisis in a year or 2 years. It must be solved all the way. Power generation, power distribution, the use of energy resources. It's a long-term solution that we need. That's what I would put on the table. So government must admit and know that what it must do now is to implement short-term solutions that will alleviate the problems for businesses, and for individuals while we work on the long-term solutions, because the long-term solutions, they will take money, it will take time. And so they must even be nicer to Ghanaians and communicate well with Ghanaians. That is what will solve it. Otherwise, telling anybody that it will be solved tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, accidents happen. If an accident will happen anywhere with any of our power installations, even after generation, the generation solutions that they've talked about, which I still see as short term, even after those are implemented, accidents can happen because there wouldn't be much surplus. Okay, so the orientation should be let Ghanaians know it's a long-term matter, and also talk nicely to Ghanaians, and then stop the promising. And actually, I would tell the president, stop the talk. You know, when somebody brings you a speech, or you yourself are preparing a speech, stop yourself from going to talk about this and going to offer advice or anything, but rather concentrate on implementing some solutions, and let's not worry about taking credit. Because if you think about taking credit, wrong things get done, and then the situation becomes worse, as we have seen. Okay, and they should just do a good job with it, because the solutions are known. They've been known by Ato Ahoy as Energy Minister. They've been known by Kandapa as Energy Minister. The solutions were known by me as Energy Minister, and so on and so forth. The problem has been with implementing the solutions without the problem of politics, and making sure we concentrate on it as a number one problem, find money, find the resources to implement it for long-term benefit.